All right, free in the Spirit. Are you free in the Spirit? Who's free in the Spirit? Are you free? Come on. You got to be freer than that. I give you permission to be free. Right? What are we getting free from? What does it mean to be truly free? I want to answer some of these questions, or at least ask the question, and let Spirit answer them for us today. Today we've come together just before the upcoming celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King. And one of the things that, in honor of this great Christian activist, that I would like to look at is the idea of freedom in a world that seems to be oppressive. And how do we really, truly get free? Now, I know all of the answers to these questions are internal. And so I'd like to look at one thing that he said. He said, "Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred." So we can't be free if we are employing the same devices that we feel oppressed by. We have to become free internally. We have to become free of the bitterness and the hatred. I believe that when we find the freedom of the Spirit of God within us, that's the day we can say with conviction, I am truly free indeed. I am free at last, because I found that freedom of spirit. I found the God within. I've actually connected with it. And now I am purposefully bringing it forth into the world. And I leave the results up to that universal mind, the Spirit that connects us all, the thing we call God. Now, I was talking with one of our new members last week, a friend of ours from England, Peter, and he was wondering how we use the Bible, because he notices that I actually refer to the Bible quite a bit. And so what we use is this big old book here, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and nobody wants to read that. So not even in our metaphysical classes do they want to read it. So I use the Reader's Digest version, which is called the Revealing Word. So the Revealing Word has a Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, has a great definition in the Revealing Word for freedom. Metaphysical meaning of freedom from the Revealing Word. It's that quality or state of being without thought, or restraint, or bondage, or limitation, or repression of any kind, having a sense of complete well-being as a result of regulating one's life according to principle, not according to what anyone else might think or say, according to principle. We can never know the full meaning of freedom until we abide in the Christ consciousness. We can never know the full meaning of freedom until we abide in the Christ consciousness. That's a nice slide. Thank you, Lily. I think we got these two big TVs just to show off Lily's slides, because she's doing such a great job with those. Does anyone relate to that? We can never know the full meaning of freedom until we are abiding or living in the Christ consciousness, until our life is an action of the God within, the consciousness of Christ, which sees everyone as whole and perfect, that sees past your mistakes. And that's how we heal, is we see past your mistakes to the perfection of your being. And pretty soon, I'm going to see it for you for a little while, but pretty soon, you're going to start to see it for yourself. And then, very shortly after that, you're going to start to see it in others as well. And they are going to start to see it in themselves. And that's how a spiritual community and a spiritual lifestyle and a spiritually led world forms, is from your individual commitment to principle, living or abiding in the Christ consciousness. Now, without prayer and meditation, there are a few things you have to do. Without prayer and meditation, there can be no concept of spiritual freedom, and therefore no demonstration of it. So that's something you have to check in with yourself. How is my spiritual practice going? And if I need help, I can always come here on Wednesday or Thursday night. I can come here on Sunday morning. I can get an online class. I can read another book. I can call Patricia up on the phone at 7:45 in the morning every morning. How's my spiritual practice going? How often do you spend in prayer and meditation? Because there can be no concept of spiritual freedom, and therefore no demonstration of it. For it is gained only through spiritual development. It is gained through communion with God. In the silence, liberation from bondage will come, and it comes as we seek ye first the perfect mind of Christ. I'm seeking that perfect mind of Christ in me. See, I'm not worshiping something out there. I'm seeking that perfect mind. Where is it? It's in my consciousness. Nothing's outside of you. Think of anything. We're thinking of the Christ right now. But think of the planets. Think of the energies. Think of that chair. Think of the person sitting next to you. Think of anything you want. All the memories of your life, perhaps. Future memories. Oh, things that I want to do. Divine ideas that are coming to me. Where is all that happening? In the mind of the thinker. All of it. All of it. All of it's happening in your mind, in your consciousness. And so, of course, the idea of Christ or perfected man living after his God nature, is going to also be in your consciousness. That's where you find it. And that's where you need to look. So the type of freedom I'm talking about today is the kind that comes only from recognition of our spiritual nature. It's an internal freedom that therefore becomes manifest in the world. It's a freedom once recognized and attained can never be taken from us at any time, by any person, by any circumstance, or any event. I'm talking about true freedom of your spirit. And that ultimate freedom of the spirit has to start in the mind. Now, here's an interesting quote I found from Martin Luther King, because he talks about the mind. He says, as long as the mind is enslaved, the body could never be free. Psychological freedom and a firm sense of self-esteem is the most powerful weapon against the long night of physical slavery. So how you feel about yourself is the most important thing. Don't believe what the world tells you. Believe what Spirit is telling you about yourself. Believe your experience of that Spirit within. Believe what God has told you about yourself, that you are my child, that you are loving, you are loved, that you are completely taken care of, that the universe supports all of your intentions. Whatever intention you put out into the universe, it supports that fully. You are getting exactly what you expect. And so if we have a world of chaos and conflict, that's because we've been expecting it. Our thoughts are prayers, my friends, right? That's what they teach us in Unity. Our thoughts are prayers. And so when our thoughts are worrying about what can go wrong, guess what? All those things start to appear. You know, even Tony Robbins knew that. You know, the motivational speaker, Tony Robbins. Stop worrying about what can go wrong and start thinking about what can go right. Focus on what can go right in this situation. Doesn't matter how conflictual it seems in the moment. It's going to go right because I'm here. I'm here bringing the light. We talked about this last week. I'm the light in this situation. I'm the light of the world. Therefore, I'm bringing the light. That's my job in this situation. That's my joy in this situation, is to bring the light. Paul's doing it. We saw an article about Paul bringing the light to the town council. He's bringing the light. I love it. It's so joyous, too, because it's really what you are, and it's what we're called to do in this world. And so, as we begin to really feel and know in our mind, our heart and our minds, who we really are, it builds up our self-esteem. And so our minds become healed, and we have ideas that are more true. And I think it's really important that everyone knows that you're perfect just the way you are, that there's nothing you need to do to be a perfect child of God. You're already that. The only thing that we've done is define ourselves as other than that. And we have all of these ideas that are not true. And as we let go of those ideas, the truth comes forth, and it is what it is. The truth is always there. And it shines brightly when I let go of the false ideas. So we need to take time to allow our minds to be free. We need to take that time. We need to, whenever things are conflictual, we feel stressed out in our lives, or could be anything. Could be we gotten a diagnosis that we didn't like of our sickness in our body or something. Remember, you're not your diagnosis. You're not even your body. It's just a way that you're experiencing life at this moment. But there are many other experiences. Take a pause every time you feel stressed, you feel conflict, you feel scared, you feel afraid. Take a pause for the cause. Pause. This is from lesson 128 in the Course in Miracles. Pause and be still a while and see how you rise above the world when you release your mind from chains and let it seek the level where it finds itself at home. It will be grateful to be free for a while. It knows where it belongs. But free its wings and it will fly in sureness and in joy to join its holy purpose. Let it rest in its Creator, there to be restored to sanity, to freedom, and to love. Let your mind be free. Give it a break. Stop telling yourself all of these stories that aren't true. And let it seek the level where it finds itself at home. There's a beautiful teaching from A Course in Miracles that said, this world is going to change through you, not through any other means. We keep thinking it's out there. We keep thinking it's going to change somehow through somebody or something else. But it's not true. Lesson 25. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. I'm going to stay on A Course in Miracles for a second here. The world will change through you. No other means can save it. For God's plan is simply this. The Son of God is free to save himself. Given the Word of God to be his guide, forever in his mind, and at his side to lead him on. By his own will, forever free as God's. He is not led by force, but only love. He is not judged, but only sanctified. In stillness, we hear God's voice today without intrusion of our petty thoughts, without our personal desires, and without all judgment of his holy word. We will not judge ourselves today, for what we are cannot be judged. We stand apart from all judgments which the world has laid upon the Son of God. It knows him not. Today we will not listen to the world, but wait in silence for the Word of God. That's from lesson 125 in A Course in Miracles. We wait in silence to hear the Word, the truth. It speaks to us through that still small voice. It's a vibration. It's a vibration of love. We are not forced, but only loved. We are brought to this knowing through love, not by force. And nothing can judge who you are. What you are is beyond judgment, for you are perfect and free. So I've been talking a lot about the spiritual the ultimate spiritual freedom that we feel. But what about in more practical terms? I would like to talk about what is freedom in simple human terms. In simple human terms, freedom can be defined as not as the right to do as we please, but the opportunity to do what is right. So that's a really quick way to get in the flow. That's a really quick way to clear out your mind so that you can be more in prayer and meditation, because you know you have no guilt. You know you're doing the right thing. You know that you are free to forgive. You know that you are free to love. You know that you are free to offer yourself to others in service. And when you're doing that, you're happy all the time. You're happy because you're giving yourself away. You're giving what you have to someone else, and therefore you know that you have it. You know, I don't know what I have. You know, I don't know if I have anything. And then all of a sudden, oh, I have this. Okay, this represents something to me. This credit card represents like all these things I can do. I go to the store, I go swipe the credit card. So I got a box of groceries. I got a car full of groceries in my pocket. I didn't even know it. I got a tank full of gas. Right? I've got a new computer. I just ordered a new laptop last night. Yeah, good, because, well, I won't go into that story. But I have an online class, and my video was like, Course in Miracles. Nobody could hear it. So I thought it was time for a new one. It's only like 6 years old. It's got so much stuff on there. I just put everything on. You just say, does any of you guys ever do that? You just save everything? And you don't know what you have. All these treasures, you know? And so that's like your mind. That's like your experience of life. You have all of these treasures. You have all of these gifts, and you don't even know you have it. So how do I know that I have it? I start giving it away. That's the point. That was the point of that whole story. You start giving it away, and you know how much you have. It's just amazing. I'm just always amazed at the wealth of experience that's in there, that's in my consciousness, that can be expressed through this physical form called Tony. Now, most of the time I'm not aware of it, but when it's needed, it just comes out. It's a really fast program. You know, it's just super fast. It's like the highest technology I've ever experienced, because whatever you need is in there. And it comes out in the moment you need it. And I love it. I love that's how our mind and our consciousness works. So it's also just, there's always an opportunity to do what's right. And I'm free to do what's right. I'm always free to make that decision. I'm always free to just change my mind, turn around, and do what's right. Do the next right thing every moment of every day. And it makes me feel much better than ignoring the world, than hiding from the world. Remember we talked last week about hiding your light? It doesn't serve the world. Playing small doesn't serve the world, because you're magnificent and amazing beings with so much power and so much healing in your hands. Don't play small. Get out there and share that love and that healing with everyone. You can do it. The world will change through you. No other means can save it. This is what I was just reading from A Course in Miracles. The world changes through you. And it's an amazing adventure. I never know how it's going to unfold. Each day I'm presented with another opportunity to be the light of the world. The world is changing, and it's changing through your awakening, through your illumination, not through your playing small, not through your pretending to be separate, not through pretending to be a victim, but you being healed, healthy, whole, free in the Spirit. That's what changes the world, my friends, being free in the Spirit. So I found this great guy, oh my goodness, in my research for this today's message, I found one of the first Unitarians. This guy, W.E. Channing. Now, when I first saw it, saw Channing. I thought, is that Carol Channing? Because that's my reference. I always related everything to comedy. But William Every Channing was one of the founders of the Unitarian movement. And it's an amazing thing because I think before there were televisions and computers, we used to think a lot more deeply. And when I read this, I said, that is a mind that thinks deeply. Here's what he says. I call that mind free which is not passively framed by outward circumstances. Sounds like unity, doesn't it? Not passively framed by outward circumstances, which is not swept away by the torrents of events, which is not the creature of accidental impulse, but one which bends events to its own improvement, and acts from an inward spring, from immutable principles. It's just what Charles Fillmore was talking about. Being free is acting from immutable principles, which has been deliberately espoused. So deliberately espoused means you affirm the truth. That's what we do every Thursday night. I am the light of the world. I am the hands of God. I am a healing force in this world. I am the love of God in action. I am those things. And you're affirming the truth is espousing deliberately these principles, these immutable principles. And then you begin to live the principles. Not just espouse them, but live them. And I think that's the most important thing in being free in the Spirit. So, freedom is not simply characterized by stillness and peace, but also passion and action. I feel that living in a freedom, in a state of spiritual freedom, you become so excited every day. Wow, I got another day to express God. I've got another day to be the light of the world. I've got another day. I'm free. I'm free in the Spirit. I'm only here for God or for good. In Unity, we say God is absolute good. So I'm here to expose that absolute good to everyone. It's passion and action as well as stillness and peace. The more still you are and the more peaceful you are, the more passion and action you will be bringing into the world. The more action of love will come from you. Stillness and peace is where all the power is. And you know it. You know it's where it is. You feel it. You know that you're affecting much more in your stillness and peace than you possibly could by running around trying to save the world by arranging the chairs, the deck chairs on the Titanic, which is what a lot of us are trying to do. No, forget it. That ship has gone down. It's already gone. Forget the world that you used to know, the world that you saw is gone. Let it go. Just keep letting it go and be in the real world of the stillness and peace of God. In our oneness, in our togetherness, in our total connection that is never broken. All the things that seem to be ugly in this world have just come up for you to let them go. Wes was telling us, bring forth those memories. Why? To let them go. To delete them from our memory forever. Otherwise, we're storing them in the memory of ourselves. And that's where sickness comes from. Is storing all those ugly memories in your body, in the cells. Don't do that. Cells have memory. So let's let them remember God. Let's let ourselves remember freedom. We're free. Talk to yourselves. Remind them that they're whole and perfect and free. Stop telling yourselves that they're getting old. Stop telling yourselves that they're getting sick. Stop diagnosing yourselves. I'll diagnose yourselves as whole and perfect and full of light. How's that? Sound good? Yeah. All right. Well, that's freedom, my friends. Free your mind and the body will follow. Be free in the Spirit and the world will cease to be a place of sorrow. Be free, my friends. Be free. Free your body, free your mind, but most of all, be free in the Spirit. Sound good? All right. Let's do it. I love you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.